What's up, super players? It's your homie C-Rod, and in today's video, I'm gonna be going over my top 5 most underrated decks in Dragon Ball Super card game. These are decks that seem to stay powerful no matter what the newest set is, but people underestimate them thinking that leader's whack, when in reality, they are not. So let's start off with my number 5, which happens to be this. Lord Slug is actually a very powerful leader, and the whole deck is honestly very powerful. This guy's all about hand control. You're going to be able to destroy your opponent's hand, leaving them at low hand size, and using the critical abilities and the hand destruction abilities to ultimately kill your opponent. And then when you awaken, you're able to still force your opponent to discard abilities with the activate main, and you still get that auto to draw, and when you awaken you draw. So you're going to be having a pretty healthy hand size, and you're going to be destroying your opponent's hand. Some of the key cards in this deck: Wings the Morale, awesome for letting you bring out the Lord Slugs with lower cost. Lord Slug himself, the 2-drop that allows you to search your deck for the Lord Slug ultimate play. Can't forget about the boss card, Titanic Ambition Lord Slug, which upon being played forces 3 discards on your opponent's hand. Honestly, the Lord Slug deck is one of the awesomest, if that's a word, most underrated decks in Dragon Ball Super. So now let's talk about number 4, and number 4 on the list is actually Android 13. This deck is extremely powerful, and it could still make the top tables at tournaments if you are an amazing Android 13 pilot. And do not underestimate it. It's able to self-awaken at 6 lives or less by dropping 14 and 15, and then you go into Think for Destruction Android 13, which continues the theme of the critical attacks plus the discarding abilities, because you're going to be able to really abuse the androids that force discards with this leader. One of the key cards in this deck happens to be Android 14. As you guys can see, this card right here, if you discard it, you force a discard on your opponent, and it allows you to self-awaken. Then we got the Playmaker card, Android 13 the Brilliant, which is able to bring out the boss card, Android 13, that will ultimately kill your opponent's hand. And this is the awesome boss card that comes out and kills your opponent, because this card knocks a card out upon being played, and if your opponent discards a card due to one of your effects, they discard another one, leaving them at a low hand state and a 30k double strike beater on board. Now we got number 3 on the list, and number 3 is Pilaf. Do not underestimate the Pilaf deck. I sure did, and I got whooped. This card has an amazing awakening ability that if you happen to have 3 or more battle cards on the field, you could awaken no matter how many lives and turn into Pilaf Shu and My Assemble. And you restand 2 of your energies to utilize for more spamming pressure. And some of the key cards of this deck all have to do with Pilaf Shu and Mai to swarm the board. We got My Dragon Ball Chaser, which upon being played is able to bring out Pilaf and Shu onto the field that are also 15k beaters. Then we got Pilaf that comes out from Mai and could also bring out Shu or Mai, so you're going to be swarming and poking at your opponent. Then the last piece to the puzzle happens to be Shu, and Shu does the same thing, brings out Mai and Pilaf to have 15k attacks going to your opponent's face. Then you can't run Pilaf without running Mercenary Tao, Unequaled Assassin, which is actually one of the strongest cards in this deck because it comes out for free and it's a 15k poke that's also critical. Definitely do not underestimate any of these decks when you see them at your tournaments, if there will ever be one. Hopefully next year, crossing my fingers. So this is a happy early new year video for you. Hopefully you like it. Subscribe if you are new here, and let's get down to the list. So my second underrated deck happens to go to Hit. I kid you not, Hit is pretty darn strong, especially with his auto that he has when he awakens. So let's look at his awaken side. Now, look at how cool this guy looks. Like, he looks pretty darn sick. And his auto is actually just as sick. When he attacks, you draw like basic and get a 5k. But what makes him so darn powerful is his ability to bring back to life any of your 2 cost or less skillless cards. And you're going to be swarming attacks on your opponent. And that's not even it, guys. What makes him even more strong is the fact that he has that activate main / battle, that you're able to choose 1 card in your hand, discard it, and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with double strike, critical, or blocker and KO it instantaneously. That right there allows you to do so many awesome sorts of plays that could get you the game. Some of the key cards in this hit deck: if you are playing a green-red version, you're going to be wanting to run a 2-cost vanilla. It could be this Son Gohan. Then Piccolo Jr., Eradicator of Peace. This card's actually one of the strongest cards from the draft box. And when it swings, it's able to deal 1 damage. And you have Alliance, which gives this guy an extreme boost. And he's double strike. Then we're running Trunks, a Helping Blast, because this is a free play blocker revenge that synchronizes beautifully with the Alliance ability of that Piccolo. And Son Goku, Nimbus Master, in order to be able to bring out skillless cards plus get a combo boost. This guy is extremely useful in this hit deck. Now I'm gonna give you my number 1 most underrated strongest deck in my opinion. Feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know what your most underrated deck is that's actually strong. And for me, it's gonna go to Bulma. Bulma is extremely powerful, and she has an amazing permanent that gives blocker to all your Saiyan and Earthlings that are red and yellow. Then when you awaken, you turn into Bulma. Familial Bond still has the same permanent of granting blocker skill, but now you're able to draw 2 cards with your activate main. This leader is extremely powerful in my eyes. One of the key cards in this deck is Yamcha, Mirrorless Barrage. Now this card is able to come out onto the field for free if you have a Unison on board, and on top of that, it reduces the power of your opponent's cards, plus it gains blocker. Then one of the boss Yamcha finishing cards is Yamcha the Lawless, which is able to continuously give you a draw with its auto, plus it gains 15k double strike and has the potential to go for game. Then, since the deck relies on Earthling cards, we got Bulma the Bunny Girl, which is able to bring back to life one of your Earthling cards when one of your Earthling cards dies. And the boss card, which a lot of people are running, happens to be Gogeta Technique Unchained, which is able to come out relatively easy. Plus, not only is it a double strike 35k, it also gains blocker because of Bulma. And this is my top 5 most underrated decks. And if you agree with my list, feel free to leave me a like. If you don't agree with my list, give me a like. Please. Nah, but for real, hopefully you guys like this video. Subscribe for more Dragon Ball Super card game content, and like we always say, y'all stay super.
Double strike crate,